Hello, this is my third yearly recap video. It's crazy that I started doing these in 2022, but I'm really excited to showcase and recap what my year looked like this year. Funny enough, I began the year saying goodbye to many lasts and ended the year welcoming many firsts. Some key milestones from this year was graduating from college and moving to New York in the middle of the year, and that was definitely a huge stepping stone into the next chapter of my life. This transition year was definitely faced with many challenges and just facing change and getting used to a new lifestyle. So I honestly really didn't think I was gonna miss having seasons so much, but it is really nice to be back on the East Coast. I feel like when I live on the East Coast, I really feel like I'm moving through life, and I think I really feel a progression because the seasons are so distinct that you can remember each stage. And on the West Coast, it kind of felt stagnant almost. I felt like every day was the same and I just wasn't progressing as much as I would like to. And I think everything just started to blur together. Obviously, that is extremely biased because I did grow up on the East Coast, and not to say I do love West Coast weather. Like, that is something that I miss so dearly, especially now that it is winter and it was snowing today, and I just can't deal with this cold weather anymore. Anyways, let's get to my 2024 recap. So to start off the year, I went to Decadence, Arizona for the first time. It was so much fun. I got to see some of my favorite artists that I hadn't seen before, like Steve Aoki, and I really enjoyed spending the New Year's in a completely new state other than California or DC. Soon after that, I went to San Francisco with my friend to visit our other friend who recently moved there post-grad, and it was so nice catching up with them, and it was great to spend time in a city with our friend in her new home. Also in January, I went snowboarding and finally got my toe side, and I was really happy because that was just my one goal of the season, and I got it at the very start. And so I just started doing these crazy turns because I have a figure skating background, and so doing these weird little spins on the snowboard was just more natural to me. But it was really cool getting more into snowboarding, and Big Bear is always super fun and really beginner friendly. So we also had our first competition of the season at Denver, and it was the start of my very last competition season with my teammates. Then at the end of the month, I went to Joshua Tree to camp for the first time, and this was a difficult feat for me because I have a fear of camping, just because I think it's just so unhygienic. But camping was so much better than I thought it was gonna be. I had so much fun, and Joshua Tree is just beautiful, and the sunsets were breathtaking. And the group I went with were seasoned campers, so I felt really taken care of and in good hands. In February, me and my friends went to Millennium's Trilogy show. We've been wanting to go for many years now, so we finally made it happen, and he performed in LA, and it was so amazing. The production was just so good. And then we also had a Valentine's Day. We made some food at home and just celebrated Valentine's Day with our friends. We also had our annual AKSI mixer in San Diego. This was so much fun. We got to explore San Diego more this trip, just because we were of age, so we were able to experience a whole new plethora of things to do there. So yeah, that trip was really fun. And it was great meeting other people from other schools too, so that's always a great experience. Then our team hosted another competition, City of Angels. It was a local competition, so this was held in LA. It's always a fun time going to competitions with my teammates. In March, we had another AKSI mixer, but this time it was held at UCSB, and I rarely ever go up to UCSB, so this was really exciting to get to explore the town and the school, and again, just meeting a whole new group of people. In March, I went snowboarding again, did the little turn thingies. I don't know, I should coin a name or something. I don't know if it's actually a thing. But yeah, snowboarding in Big Bear, always fun, always a blast. At the end of the month, me and my friends went to Beyond Wonderland. This is one of my favorite festivals in SoCal. It's so happy. The decorations are so cute and fun. I just think it's a great way to start off spring and festival season. Immediately after Beyond Wonderland, we went to Cabo for spring break. So we spent a week there. It was so much fun. We got to explore. We rode ATVs through the desert. That was so much fun, but also really scary. We explored the town and we also did a cute little boat tour. So those were really exciting activities that happened on the trip. But that trip was really fun because it was the beginning of our senior spring quarter. April, we went to Deltopia. No need to talk about that. It's kind of like an annual danger that UCSB hosts, and it's massive and everyone from everywhere goes, so it's just so hectic. We took some grad photos with my friends, shout out Paul, and then we headed to nationals. This was very bittersweet because it was my very last skating competition ever, and it concluded my 14 years of my competitive figure skating career. So it was very, very sad, but also it was a great way to end my competitive career. I actually choreographed a free dance just for nationals because I was lazy my previous 3 years to choreograph anything new. And so I was like, why not do it my very last competition? I didn't practice it, I didn't do any run-throughs, I just winged it, and I don't know, somehow miraculously it came together. I definitely looked slow, and it was so difficult to power through the whole entire program because I was so out of breath, out of shape, all of the above, but I made it through, and I cried at the very end when I took a bow, and it just hit me all of a sudden that that was my very last ever competition. Yeah. It was held in Lake Placid, which is where my first Eastern sectionals was when I was about 8 years old. So it was definitely full circle being back in Lake Placid to compete for my very last competition. Right after that, we got home and I went to Coachella the next weekend. We always go weekend 2 because Nationals is always on weekend 1. So Coachella weekend 2, such a blast. I think this is one of my favorite Coachellas. I think the lineup was amazing. We had so much fun just running stage to stage, trying to catch everyone. I'm excited for Coachella this year, and this year I'm going weekend 1, so that'll be something new. Then I drove up to San Francisco to see Dabin, one of my favorite DJs from my early college days. He performed at his first ever festival, so that was exciting to be there for his inaugural day. And then we just explored the city and did some fun stuff and then drove back down the next day, so it was a quick trip. In May, I took a bunch of grad pics, solo and with friends, and this was a lot of fun to commemorate our college experience. And then we had some events for AKSI here and there. Also in May, me, Dustin, and Phyllis, we drove down to San Diego for the day just to explore and find the super bloom, but we didn't end up actually seeing the super bloom, but we just kind of ate food and took some photos and then left. Oh, also in May, I went down to San Diego for a solo trip just because I feel like I really wanted to do more things solo this year just to kind of enhance my independence and just appreciate time alone, essentially. So I think doing this mini trip was really therapeutic for me, and I love San Diego. And I know I'm getting old when EDC starts to become so exhausting. I can barely make it through like day 3, but I don't know, we'll see if we go this year. Then the weekend after, we went to Vegas again, back to back, to go to the Memorial Day Vegas weekend for seniors. And all the seniors from various different schools go to Vegas that weekend for the 3-day break. Definitely exhausting going to Vegas 2 weekends back to back, but you know, you only have your senior year once. So in June, we went to Pride in West Hollywood and in LA with a couple friends, and that was so much fun. This was also my first Pride in LA. I usually go to the New York one, which is later in June, but luckily this one happened while I was still in LA this summer, so I'm glad I got to go. Then I had my end of the year banquet for my skating team, which was very sad. I cried a lot. Then we had a couple grad parties, more grad shoots, and then graduation rolls around. I had 2 graduations, one for econ and one for the overall College of Letters and Science. And it was so nice seeing everyone's families come together and to have everyone there celebrate this special moment. It was very weird because it didn't feel real almost. I feel like we didn't really process that we were graduating until months later. But in the moment, it was very cute and very sweet, very sappy. And yeah. June was the time for last traditions at UCLA, like the Midnight Yell and the Undie Run, which are both so heinous, but you know, and it was our last quarter, so we obviously had to participate. Then I had a grad/birthday party because they're a week apart, so I really wanted to see all of my friends before I moved out of LA. So that was really nice seeing everyone come together, and I was so grateful for everybody who was able to come during finals week. But it was great seeing everybody, and I felt very appreciative. Right after graduation, packed up my room, and me and my roommate actually drove my car across the country back to DC. It took about 4 or 5 days, but it was really fun because we got to stop at a lot of different cities in between. That trip was really memorable and a great bonding experience for me and my roommate, and I miss her so much. We went to Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and then we ended up in DC. So we did 5 stops total, and I gunned it the entire way, 8 to 9 hours every day. It was way easier than I expected, to be honest. Like, it didn't feel like 8-9 hours a day. It felt like maybe 6 at most, but highly recommend, and I would definitely want to do it again. Also in June, I celebrated my 22nd birthday. It was great just spending time with my family before I left for a trip. And that brings us into July, so I went to Europe in July. I started in Amsterdam, and then I went to a couple cities in Italy, and then I went to France, and then Greece right after. And this trip was a great grad trip because I got to have this time off between work and school to kind of just do my own thing and travel. Then right as I got back from my trip, I moved to New York. And this move-in process was so tedious. It was so draining, but it was so worth it because I finally set up my brand new apartment in the city. It's kind of crazy because this is my first time moving to my very own apartment outside of school, so it was a big change, but it was very exciting to explore the new city that I lived in. August was just more exploring and getting settled down. I got a new tattoo. I was exploring new places that I would soon go back frequently to, and just exploring what the city has to offer. A big goal of mine was to find the best matcha in New York City, but I will have to say, after 5 months of searching, I do think LA matcha is unmatched. I think that there is no place in New York that is better than matcha in LA. I will stand by it. At the end of August, I went back to LA to move out of my college apartment because our lease was still ongoing. So I got to see some of my friends from school and just catch up with people and also move out at the same time. August going into September, my friend came to visit me for a week, which was really fun. Then early September, I actually went back home to DC to say goodbye to my dog one last time. So that was a really difficult time, but she's in a better place now, and yeah. But here are some photos of her. I also saw Peggy Goo in concert in September. She's so good. And I also went to the Global Citizens Festival. It was pouring rain during it, but it was still really fun because it was my first time going, and they had really good artists. In October, I saw Michelle and Still Woozy. They were so much fun at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And we also went to Audrey Nuna's release party. I really enjoyed October because that's when the leaves started to turn in New York, and I hadn't seen the leaves turn throughout the seasons in so long, so it was just very nostalgic. And fall is starting to become one of my favorite seasons. Halloween this year was so heinous because it was 2 weekends back to back, so we just went out and saw what New York had to offer for Halloween. But honestly, I feel like I do enjoy staying in and spending time with people and watching a movie or doing something at home so much better. So me and my friends also just played board games and hosted a cute little Halloween dinner party. In November, me and Alice put our skates back on and we went to Bryant Park to come out of retirement for a little bit. And then I headed back to LA. I went back to all my favorite places, tried a couple new ones, and saw my friends, and it was just really nice catching up with people and being back in the warm weather. Then once I got back, I went to my first festival in New York, which was technically, I would just consider it a rave, but it was a couple DJs on a lineup at the Brooklyn Mirage, and it was really fun because I went with my new rave group in New York. Then at the end of the month, I went to Boston for a quick weekend trip, and I never got to really explore Boston growing up because I would always go for skating competitions. So I finally got to explore more of Boston on my own accord this time, and I fell in love with it. Once I got back from Boston, I headed home for Thanksgiving for the weekend. At the start of December, I went to the Janae Aiko concert and saw some of my favorite R&B artists like Umi, Kiana Lele, I don't know how to say her name, and Jessie Reyes. So that was a really fun concert. Then the next weekend, my friends came to visit New York, so we just ran around the city and just did everything that they wanted to do. It was a blast. Then Alice dragged me up at 6 a.m. to go to a freestyle session at Bryant Park. Then I saw Freak Slug in concert, one of my favorite indie artists. She was so good. We were really close. It was a very intimate venue. It was pretty small, so we really got to see her up close. Then the holiday season rolled around in New York City, so all the tourists came, and we just became a tourist for the week and explored all the Christmas and holiday things there are to do. I love the Christmas markets in New York and just seeing the Rockefeller tree, going ice skating, going to Central Park, and getting hot chocolate, just doing everything there is to offer, like the department stores and stuff like that. And then I came home and quickly left for Aruba for a family vacation. It's funny because we went to Aruba and then I went to Europe right after, and it was a very drastic weather change because it's really warm in Aruba. And I went to Austria and Switzerland, which are snowy and cold and just winter wonderland. Yeah, but that was really fun. Just recapping the year made me realize how much has happened and how much has changed since January 1st of 2024. I think that every year brings so many new opportunities and so many lessons and new people, and I am so grateful for everyone that has made this year what it was and has been with me throughout this whole journey. I am so grateful for all my new and old friendships that have been there with me throughout this entire year and on. Honestly, it's really the people that make the year and what it is, and I'm excited to see what 2025 has in store. There's always so much to learn about yourself and about other people and about life and just growing through experiences. I don't know, why am I always so sappy? I but yeah, I hope you all had a wonderful year, and I hope that this next year is filled with love and happiness and growth and just everything you wish for in life. I think my biggest takeaway is just keeping an optimistic mindset and just trying to stay positive, and that is what I will carry into 2025. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the new year.